Air conditioning is all about moving heat from where you don't want it to where you don't care. So, how does an air conditioner do it? Let's take a look and see how it works. A room air conditioner has four major components: the evaporator, the compressor, the condenser, the expansion valve. In a room with air conditioning setup, the evaporator and the expansion valve are inside. The compressor and the condenser are outside the room. Think about an afternoon party. The ladies love to stay inside where it's cool and comfortable, while the men usually stay outside to chat and enjoy the breeze. Think of the evaporator and expansion valve as the ladies who stay indoors. Let's call them Miss Evaporator and Miss Expansion Valve. The condenser and compressor are the men who love outdoors. Let's call them Mr. Condenser and Mr. Compressor. We will see them later. That's the basic air conditioner setup. Now, let's take a look at what happens in a room. All these elements release heat. These make the room really hot, and you don't like it. So, how does an air conditioner move the heat from where you don't want it to where you don't care? Let's take a closer look into an aircon unit. The evaporator is a combination of fins and tubes that absorb the heat from the room. Inside the evaporator is a cool working fluid also known as a refrigerant. The hot room air sucked in by the evaporator fan causes the cool working fluid inside the coil to boil, absorbing the heat from the hot air and cooling the air while turning the working fluid completely to a gas. Now the heat is captured in the gas. The cool gas with the room's heat is sucked into the compressor. The rotating compressor squeezes the cool gas into a reduced space, increasing the pressure. This causes the gas to increase the temperature up to approximately a very hot 50 degrees Celsius. The compressor pumps the hot gas into the condenser. The condenser fan sucks air from the sides and blows it across the condenser coil. The air outside the condenser coil is hot because the heat captured inside the working fluid is being released to the outside air. Now, what happens inside the condenser? Let's take a closer look. The very hot gas from the compressor is pumped into the condenser coil. The outside air flowing across the fins of the coil at, say, 30 degrees Celsius, causes the hot gas to turn gradually into a warm liquid. From the condenser, this warm working fluid is pumped through a narrow passage called the expansion valve. As the pumped warm fluid passes through this narrow passage, the temperature reduces to about 7 degrees Celsius, and a combination of liquid and gas goes on its way back to the evaporator coil. The working fluid in the evaporator is ready again to absorb more heat, cool the indoor air, and the cycle continues. The room air conditioner regulates the cycle to the desired temperature, providing comfort. So now you see, the air conditioner is actually a mover of heat from the inside, providing comfort, to the outside where the heat doesn't matter. Let's quickly review the movement of heat. The evaporator coil absorbs the indoor air heat. The working fluid, or refrigerant, turns from a liquid gas mixture to a cool gas, cooling the indoor air. The evaporator's cool gas is sucked in by the compressor and pumped to a high temperature. The very hot gas passes inside the condenser tubes, while outside air passes over the condenser fins. The air is heated while the gas changes to a warm liquid. The warm liquid passes through the narrow passage of the expansion valve, dropping the temperature and changing to a combination of liquid and gas. The liquid and gas working fluid returns to the evaporator coil, and the cycle repeats itself, cooling the indoor air and moving the heat outside. And that's how an air conditioner works, moving heat from where you don't want it to where you don't care.